Hello and welcome to the NFT Guild Roundtable number 14. Today we have Giovanni, and he's here. Easy One Pool. He's the co-founder of Argus NFT, and he's here to tell us about their latest addition to the Argus system, Aegis. Aegis is a product designed for creators, and it protects from bad actors trying to profit off of NFT assets and intellectual property. So, happy to have you here, Giovanni, and the floor is yours.
Hi guys, thank you very much. Thank you, Peter. A great introduction. It's really nice to be here today and to explain briefly what is Argus NFT and how Aegis builds on top of extend on top of what we've built already. I think I'm going to start sharing the screen straight away and so that I can go through the different things. So first of all, finally, we just a couple of months ago, we got our website rebranded because it was absolutely dreadful, the previous version that we put together very, very quickly. And we had time to get a company to do a new design and rebranding for us. We changed the logo, so on and so forth. We still keep this kind of idea of an eye that sees things everywhere. But what is Argus NFT? Argus NFT is an AI-powered, artificial intelligence-powered NFT fake detection platform. So basically what we do, initially it was only on Cardano, and as I'm going to be telling you, explain a little bit more, now it's on Ethereum as well. We basically scan the full history of the full minting history of different blockchains, in this case, again, Cardano and Ethereum. We build a history of all the NFTs, when they were minted, where, and then this way we examine the digital asset that is attached to this NFT, and we can build basically a history of NFTs. And if there is something that gets reminted, either exactly the same or very, very similar, we flag those NFTs as a copies. So obviously, sometimes, most of the times, likely we get it right. Sometimes we get it wrong, but this is part of the game, because sometimes it's just is plagiarism, and if two things are very similar or not similar enough, we could flag something as fake while it's actually original, and vice versa. But luckily enough, so far we haven't had too many of those cases compared to the millions of NFTs that our system has ingested so far. As you can see, there is a little bit of a dynamic text here, and our product is really for marketplaces, creators, and collectors. So everybody around the family of the industry of the NFTs. And this is basically what we've been building so far. At the beginning, our focus was on marketplaces, and I'll show you all that we've achieved so far, and then how Aegis extends the features offered by Argus NFT from marketplaces to individuals, like so from B2B to B2C. And you can see here what we've been doing, a little bit of an explanation of what we've done for creators and collectors. So protect your NFT and artwork from plagiarism with Aegis. That should be like coming soon, yes, still, but very, very soon at this point. Marketplaces, we know already about it. JPEG Store is using our APIs as a software as a service, and I'm going to show you very briefly, very, very soon how it works. And then for collectors as well, I imagine imagine to be the owner of Bored Ape Yacht Club, and you've been spending hundreds of thousands to buy it, and all of a sudden there are a few copies. I'll be pretty mad and angry. Like, I want to know if there are fakes or copies, because I want them to be taken down. Otherwise, my NFTs will start to lose value. So there is a protection for creators that they can see their art stolen from other platforms, and then also for collectors that they could see their art being counterfeited and lose intrinsic value. There is a little section here about our proposals, what got funded and what didn't get funded. So I invite you to take a quick look here to see what we've been working on and what we aim to work in the future, because not all of our proposals got funded. And here there is like a brief explanation of the services. So Argus, we know already what it is. It comes from, if you wonder about the name, it comes from the Greek mythology. This guy has 100 eyes and sees everything. So this is the idea where we took inspiration from. And Aegis is from the Greek mythology and is the symbol of divine protection, basically a shield. And this is again part of the inspiration that drove us to adopt this name. But without going too far, well, we have the team. It's obviously myself and Anthony. It is the co-founder, Kurt, that is our backend engineer, and is doing an amazing work in integrating Ethereum. And then there is Jaime, that unfortunately has left a few weeks back the team, and he started to work for Cardano Foundation, how to say no to that offer. And then there is Jason, that is a former colleague of mine, and he is an absolutely genius in machine learning, and he's been helping us along the way in perfectioning our system. There are a few other things that we've been working on, but I think a little bit outside the scope of this meeting. So let's stay on the ball, on the focus. Let's see straight away Argus NFT in action. So the website here is JPEG Store. If you are on Cardano, I'm 100% sure you know what this thing is. It's a marketplace, largest marketplace on Cardano now for NFTs. Obviously, I should actually really show that JPG Store, that if you want to shop for an official Space Buds, you go onto their collection. If you have enough money that I don't have, and you want to like buy with ADA, you click the thing. In this case, it's going to just say that I don't have money because I'm very poor. But you could try to make an offer, but this no pop-ups shows up. So behind the scene, there is still a call, an API call made to ArgusNFT to check whether or not this asset is fake or is original. Everything is fine, so nothing shows up. But if you go on a page of a SpaceBud that is very looking like a SpaceBud, even the name is very similar, but it's not a SpaceBud from the original collection, you want to make an offer, you will see all of a sudden a pop-up. So behind the scene, what happens is that at the moment of making an offer or purchasing the NFT, there is an API call made to our backend that says, look, there is an NFT whose policy ID and asset name is so on and so forth, such and such. Can you tell me whether or not this is original? So obviously we have all these results cached already at minting time. I don't want to go too much into details, but as soon as an NFT is minted, we immediately check whether or not this is an original. And then for all our customers, whenever they integrate with us, they can check in real time at any point of the sale process, whether or not this is an original. So, and obviously this is not an original, this is a copy. Actually, there is no NFT, no SpaceBuds. It is exactly looking like this. All the other ones are a little bit different, but our AI is good enough to understand this is very similar to something that we've been seeing before. And this is working okay. The second thing that actually at the very beginning gave us an enormous headache was Pavia, because people have been messing around with these lands so much that they were able to, from time to time, to fool our system. And it took like weeks to fine-tune it and to make it robust enough. Again, obviously, you can see that this is an unknown policy, so this is obviously not an original, a non-original Pavia. But finally, we are good enough, our system is good enough to understand that this is a fake. Sometimes they added the more dots, sometimes they reduced a little bit to the dots, they increased the size of the picture or whatever. Our AI is so powerful now that can find all the fake Pavia. And this is obviously thanks to Kurt that we have online, and we say many thanks to him. We have managed actually to extend Argus to Ethereum as well. While we do not have at the moment the full history of NFTs on Ethereum, as we are working on many things at the same time, we realized a pretty reliable proof of concept. Obviously, you know that this guy is from the Bored Ape Yacht Club collection. I don't have to tell you. Like, if you are into NFTs, you definitely recognize those very popular monkeys. When we only had Cardano integrated, for us, this was an original NFT because it didn't exist anywhere else. But when we started to integrate Ethereum as well, with the handful of collections from Ethereum, now our AI is capable of saying that this is a fake asset as well. Because while this is quote unquote original on Cardano, because this is the very first time that this monkey was minted, if we take the full history in a time way, this was actually minted before on Ethereum. So stay tuned and follow us on Twitter, so on and so forth, if you're seeing this in the future. this recording, because very likely we will have actually launched ArgusNFT version 2.0 that has the full history of majority of the history of Ethereum on it. And so we will be able to protect against copies on Cardano as well as copies on Ethereum, and vice versa also in the other way. So if someone is trying to mint, for instance, a space pads on Ethereum, we will be able to say, hey, look, this is a fake because the original is on Cardano. But this is all stuff that we knew from the past, but it's very relevant to understand what we are doing basically for the future. So once that we have managed to create the cross-chain experience, the next thing that we wanted to do is to, because also we believe that working with marketplaces was the way of having the largest impact in the industry. That's the reason why we went with marketplaces first. But all along we've been thinking about protecting also creators and collectors. Many stories about artists whose arts was stolen from other websites, minted on without permissions on blockchain, and a lot of revenue lost in that case. So what we came up with is Aegis. So Aegis is this, it's not the most beautiful looking application, but it actually works. So ignore the numbers that are hard coded, but Aegis is basically one of the features of ArgusNFT, where you can basically create a protection for your collections or for your NFT. Excuse me. So in this case, you can see that under my profile, I created a new protection for the full collection of the space pods, the full collection of the Ape Society, the full collection of the Chill Kong, and I was just testing like a specific Chill Kong. It's worth to notice that you don't have to own the NFT, this NFT, but you can be informed for copies made against those collections or NFTs. And I'm testing this thing myself for fun, and it's really, really cool. So the way you add the protection, you just click this button. Excuse me, you can select the network. At the moment, obviously, it's only Cardano, but soon we will have Ethereum as well. And you can select whether or not you want to protect the full collection or the single NFT. The reason why we're doing this is because if you are a collector, you are interested in protecting your own NFT. If you are a creator, you want to protect the full collection. So obviously, now everything is for free as we are in a pilot phase. But in the future, there will be a cost associated. Obviously, protecting a collection will cost more than protecting the single NFT, but obviously will not cost as if the collection is 10,000, will not cost 10,000 times more. It's just a simple thing to say. Obviously, you need to pass some data, asset name and policy ID. For the people in this room, obviously, you all know what that is. But if you don't know, and the email, you want to receive the notification. So for instance, here, there is like my private email that now is public. But anyway, it doesn't matter. If you don't know what asset name and policy ID are, you can use our help feature where you can basically paste the URL of anything, pool PM, whatever. And this is going to basically extract the policy ID and asset name. You just copy it and you put it back into the form. And so you can create your protection. So working with this is very, very simple. I've created a few of these, and yeah, you just create it, you log out the system, and then you wait. And what happens basically is that then you start to receive some emails. So you say ArgusNFT team, you open the email and say, hey, dear Giovanni, we are writing to you because we just have detected the minting of an NFT that matches a protected item you have subscribed for. So this gives you the details. It's on Cardano, obviously, because we are still in a pilot. This is the policy, the fake policy ID, and this is the fake asset name. So you say, okay, let me check this thing. So you click the thing, and this is part of also the check that the pool PM says. And it's like, look, this is really fake. It was minted January 6th at 9:51 UTC in the morning. And this email was received on the 7th of January, a little bit later, but it tells you exactly what the fake is. So that's a very good thing from ArgusNFT. We have more stuff. Let's check this thing. And this is actually really interesting because you all know the OR mob, ore, ore, ore. And this is actually something really interesting because we have this NFT. So let's go into another feature of Argus where I can put something here and invoke the search. This tells us again that this is a fake, but this is going to be interesting because this is not exactly, this is kind of, I'll show you now. So if you go on, this is not exactly the same. You can see that there is a little bit of a difference, but still the content is very similar. So if we go on, let's go on JPEG Store and pick up the actual original, right? So we go on JPEG Store and we go on this one, and obviously it tells us, oh, it's Sotomob. So this is the actual real collection, right? The very famous collection. But Argus tells us, sorry, wrong screen. Argus tells us that there is another collection. So let's go and check this other collection, right? So it tells us, oh, Jesus, this is also original as well. But this is called a parody. Now, if you really go, if you go down the rabbit hole and you check all these ones, you must tell me whether or not you consider this a parody or a cheeky attempt of would you tell me this is a parody? What is the difference? The lines are a little bit thicker. The contour is a little bit, I don't know, more broken. So is this a parody or is this like a cheeky way of getting away with murder, if you know what I mean? So because obviously this went through a verification process on JPEG Store, we decided to disable Argus for this thing. So if you try to buy, we still allow it. But we have reached out to JPEG Store and say, how do you want to go about this? Because that's a little bit fishy. Obviously, if you subscribe on ArgusNFT for this type of thing, you will receive the notification that we genuinely believe this is a fake rather than a parody, if you know what I mean. But yeah, and that's basically what we've done. This is basically just the proof of concept of what can be further built on top of this. A couple of months ago, I found out that, for instance, OpenSea has a so-called takedown API. It means that there is a programmatic way to flag on OpenSea whether there is a fake NFT, and basically you can take this thing down automatically. So if you're a creator, for instance, we can offer an additional feature where if there is a fake detected, we can hit, and if the NFT is listed on OpenSea or any NFT marketplace that supports automatic takedown, we can hook up with these things automatically. Obviously, there is going to be like a small fee involved, but you get the gist. And there are a few other things in here. I showed you that there is like the search feature. It's still a little bit buggy, and the UI is not perfect. It's not perfect, but as you can see, it gives like a pretty good idea of what is this thing for. Aegis, again, is the panel for creating your protections. And then there is console that is, again, really ugly looking. But if you are a business-to-business customer and you want to create an API token to integrate your marketplace, your website, whatever, because you want to offer NFT authentication, you can create your project here, and then you get an API key, and this API key can be used in your software. So I'm going to stop here because I think I covered pretty much all the major features that we've been working on. In the next, I want to say 10 days, we're going to basically wrap up the core features around Aegis, and we will do a public soft launch pilot program. So if any of you is an artist, I know that there are the guys from Mindflow that could be interested in playing around with the feature. Just give us some feedback. We are here. Hit us on Twitter, Argus_NFT, or just send us an email at team@argusnft.com. Thank you.
Thanks, Giovanni.
Yeah, thank you, Giovanni, for the great presentation. And we have some questions from our guests. Or Sen, did you want to?
Yes, I have a question to start off with. I must say that I'm really impressed with how Aegis was able to find the parodies. So great work on that. Or is it a way for Argus to spot existing art? I mean art pieces like Mona Lisa or something in NFTs, or is it only existing NFTs that is the playing field of this tool of yours?
So automatically, so out of the box, we can only work with NFTs. So we do not go scrape the web. It could be that in 5 years' time, this project is going to be so big that we will have the capacity of ingesting major artwork websites. Like there is one, I just can't remember the name, DeviantArt or whatever the name is in English, that we could potentially digest the whole website and periodically index it and find out if any of the artworks that are published there, they get minted on any of the supported blockchain. But it's way outside the current scope of ArgusNFT. What we can actually do instead, and this could still be done via Aegis, if you are a registered artist, what you could do is to basically submit protection for art that hasn't been minted yet. So let's say that you are working on a collection, right? And you want to be sure that nobody steals your stuff because they hack your system or whatever, or because like you shared with someone and this someone turned out to be, you had a whatever, stole the art, start to mint it. So you can protect this thing on Argus and say, look, these NFTs haven't been minted yet. These are images that I would be willing to mint in 3 months because it's still a work in progress. I'm still not happy because I'm still working on it. But I do want to know if somebody steals it and starts to mint it, right? Because it's not right. So this is definitely something that we will implement hopefully this year. And maybe in this quarter or the next quarter. But at the moment, the only art or artwork or digital content that will be automatically protected is the one indexed, I should really say, is the one that is contained in NFTs on the supported blockchain. That's for sure. That at some stage we will ingest it all. Stuff that is outside of blockchains, the first way we're going to be supporting it is by voluntary submission. So either you are the owner or someone that has an interest in protecting these things, you go on ArgusNFT and you submit all those things and say, I want to pay, I don't know, a symbolic fee again to be informed if there are copies of this being minted. And there is no reason why we shouldn't be able to do so. We just, instead of just indexing an NFT, we'll be indexing an image. And then if we find that image, we just send you an email. And then it's really up to you what you want to do with that. You could ask to be taken down or whatever, doesn't matter. But a really great question.
Yeah, and makes a lot of sense. So thank you. And what if, in for example, the Chilled Kong, and in behind the Chilled Kong on the wall, there is a small image of a space bud. How is the Argus reacting to that kind?
That's a really good question again. And it really depends. At the moment, it compares the idea is, imagine that you're seeing two images and you are asked to say how similar those two images are to each other. So, and it goes again, if you think of the example of the, where is it? Let's take this, was this one? Sorry, no, was this one instead, for sure. Obviously, for us human, it's more contextual, right? It's not a pixel on pixel, the idea. The thing is, we do not spot an NFT within another NFT, okay? But we can say how much two things are similar. Because if you put like a small space bud here, maybe there is a picture of a space bud. Is that plagiarism? I don't think so. You're not trying to say this NFT is a space bud and I want to sell it for 5,000 ADA. That is the actual work. But you're just making something else that reminds a space bud. And I think it's in theory, you should go and check what the copyright of the space buds are, and then it's a completely different thing. In that case, you're not authorized in reproducing the art. That is something a little bit different from I'm trying to sell something pretending that's a space bud. We will go definitely in that direction. So for instance, the issue with the space buds where the art, where the monkey, the elephant, the tiger, the lion, whatever was already taken from somewhere else, we will definitely do that again, but this is like way far down the line. It's going to be impactful, but is not the major issue at the moment, right? It becomes a major issue if the collection becomes as popular as the space buds. But the details within an NFT recognizes those details is not our case. But one thing that we're going to be doing, and sorry, I could have crossed someone else, is that sometimes people, in order to screw with the Argus NFT, they're trying to zoom in or zoom out the picture. So imagine that there is like a much more zoomed in version of this ORMOB. We are already working, and we have a proof of concept working for rescaled or cropped images. So if you're still trying to fake or mess around one specific NFT and not composing the NFTs, we will be very soon, like very, very soon, able to detect this one as well.
And I just jump in for 1 second. This ORMOB and PORMOB really, to me, brings up a really interesting notion of like, when presented with this kind of information, what our marketplace is going to do with this? Because, you know, like you said, Giovanni, it's kind of like some of these NFTs in this collection look like they could be kind of a parody. Some are like just really close kind of copies. And in the Web 2 space on platforms like YouTube, when you have like people using derivative, like basically derivative works where they're commenting on other works, how they've set it up is that the royalties are shared between the derivative artist and then the source artist, right? The artist of the source IP. So you could see it like, you know, say JPEG Store just wants to take this down, or maybe they want to go completely in the other like kind of libertarian direction of no, like this is perfectly fine. People can buy it if they want, even if it's a total copy. But they could also say, hey, they could contact both collection owners and say, hey, we need to negotiate like how this is going to be treated on the site and who's going to get what percentage of royalties for this obviously derivative work, right? So it opens up, and you know, Argus is something that like actually quantifies the similarity of images, so it could even potentially be a help in seeing like how similar these things are and determining like how that split would go. So I mean, there's lots of potential in that respect, I think, too.
Yeah, and it's of course a question if it's a problem for the artists or not. But I remember that I saw some NFTs. I think I don't remember if it was called the Cardano City or something, but then in those NFTs you had existing NFTs on the wall, for example, and yeah, it would be interesting to hear what the artists think about this also.
Yeah, when you're just mashing up two prominent collections of like really art that took a long time for people to make, it's kind of like you're riding on the back of somebody else to hopefully sell stuff. And it's like, I get that you're not trying to create a copy, but you are using their IP to make money. So I think in a just world, you try to figure out a way to at least share that with them or give them the right to take it down, right? I mean, so it's a tough one, right? But this is kind of the thing that Argus, one aspect, like one potential that Argus could kind of enable, right? At least identifying this stuff.
Great, thanks.
Very cool.
Yeah, you covered the question that we wanted to ask, at least the first question, in regards to artists being able to upload artwork that they created without having an interest to necessarily mint it as an NFT. And another question would be, how are you treating similarities? Because you mentioned similarities in a few different contexts. Is it based on collection to collection, or are you going with an average?
It's NFT against all the NFTs. So for every single asset that is attached to to an NFT, so you can have, like, I don't know, a picture, you can have a music, and you can have some texts. What we do is we treat those three things in isolation, and we compare the picture against all the pictures that we know, the music against all the music that we know, and the text against all the, assuming it's a PDF, against all the PDFs that, excuse me, that we know. And if there is at least one matching, we consider the whole NFT fake. But simplifying to an NFT that is just simply an image, we will compare their image against all the images of all the collections that have been minted before that NFT. And we say, is there anything that is looking alike, that is very similar? And then obviously there are different thresholds, there are different things that we do to understand.
Exactly. I wanted to get into the thresholds. So are you tweaking the thresholds for similarity based on each collection? Because you mentioned, for example, Pavia giving you headaches because there were a lot more similarities there, or is there a general rule of thumb you can apply to?
It's really different. There are different styles of NFTs, and I'm gonna try to answer this without giving too many things away, because if someone that is a professional scammer finds this thing, then it's gonna go like, I know how to screw you over. But let's say that there are ways of improving the system to refine the authenticity or the authentication of an NFT based on, let's call it, the style of the NFT. There are some let's say pictures, like a photography, and drawings. So the algorithm knows how to treat differently, how to authenticate a photography and how to authenticate a picture. And there are ever so slightly mechanisms that are used to ensure that a picture, like a photography, is compared to other photographies and pictures to other pictures. So yeah, we can say that we kind of use different criteria depending on what we're looking at. Obviously, and this goes, this is not a big surprise, and everybody knows that, like, we are not doing like a music comparison, right? So we use a much rougher way of comparing. So we only, if there are two MP3 attached to an NFT, we only trigger the authenticity if the two MP3, they are a copy of each other. So they have basically the same hash, and we never claimed otherwise. So if someone is hacking it, they know already this. But in the future, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be able to quantify again the similarity of two music tracks. We're going to be able to quantify the similarity of two books. So if you are selling a copy of the books that are on book.io, we will be able to say, hey, look, these two books, they look really alike. Obviously, this is not possible now. Our focus is on what is basically the 90% of the NFTs that have ever been minted, and at the moment are pictures. So there is a lots of things that we can do to spot similarities, fakes, and that's where we're going to be spending foreseeable of future energies. So yeah, I hope I answered without giving away too much, but yeah, with the time we will be more clever in understanding what we're looking at and to apply the proper authenticity criteria to be more accurate, if you know what I mean.
Thanks for also mentioning your plans about other media types. That was actually one of my questions, and I wasn't sure that you would answer that. So thanks for that. So the AI is now running in the background, and how is it on a high level? How does it keep up with all of this, the growing NFT, the amounts and storage? Do you store the data somewhere? Is it only the AI that is trained? Yes, please enlighten me.
there is a lot going on, and this is one of the reasons why for a couple of months you haven't heard from us, because myself and Kurt were banging our head against the wall trying to understand. So the technology, we knew the technology was good, but the scalability of the technology, I thought I had it when I started Argus, and then I quickly realized I didn't. that was one of the funniest discovery I did, and it was about July, August last year, when we went like, when I started Argus, like I was counting like a few million NFTs. That should be like a few gigabytes of images. And then a month and a half later, I had like 4 terabytes of data. I was just like, oh, Jesus, this is way above the amount of data I ever thought. It's like, it's not even that I went on the same scale. It was just like the next scale. It's like I went from gigabytes to terabytes. It's just like, this is nuts. So I started to figure out like a few things. So for instance, for images and pictures, whatever, you don't need the full scale image. So the first thing that you can do is to resize it. And then already that thing gave me like a quadratic saving. So to answer your question, I have all the data of all the NFT that have ever been minted on a hard drive, actually on 2 hard drives now. And it sums up to about 8 terabytes of data, right? 8 terabytes. So is 8,000 gigs. And that's only Cardano, right? So, and it's about 6 million NFT, 5 million NFTs. Now, you can very easily think that Ethereum has 10 times that. So 10 times that, it means 80 terabytes. So it's another very interesting number. And yes, I'm going to be saving every single data of every single NFT ever minted on all the blockchains. And I will be doing this because every time we refine the system, we basically re-authenticate all the NFTs to ensure that we are using the latest and greatest mechanism, AI version of the AI to spot similarities. With the keeping up with the technology, I'm going to be mentioning a couple of algorithms that we've been using in the past. There is one thing that is called approximate nearest neighbor, that is very machine learning thingy. And in the past, we were using the Annoy. Is a Spotify technology. But in August, September, myself and Kurt, we quickly realized that it was not good enough. So we've been doing about a month and a half of research, and we landed on 2 different technology. One is Vespa AI that Kurt found out that we will possibly adopt in the close future. For like really high-end scalability, when we will be talking about, I can't remember, hundreds of millions of NFTs. And at the moment, we're using HNSW, that is hierarchical, navigable, small world, that is a very advanced approximate nearest neighbor technology. And this thing was absolutely insane. Like when we implemented this HNSW, like the way, the speed and the quality of the results in Argus, they were just like mind-blowing. It took us like a month and a half to put it in place. Well, I would say like more 2 months. But once it was up and running, this thing was like blazing fast, extremely accurate. And there is the one thing, it's called recall in machine learning. It was, I'm really sorry, I have to say, that was pretty shit at the beginning with the Annoy, the Spotify version. But when we switched to HNSW, that was nuts. That was really, really good. So yeah, so I'll give you also a little bit of an overview of the machine learning tech we're using behind the scene.
Yeah,
and now let me see if what was that?
But you're doing what IPFS should be doing, aren't you? You should be. You have a centralized IPFS going.
No, we have a cluster as well. No, but I use the all the disks, hard drives to store all the NFTs. But is that a processor? I'm going. ArgusNFT overview. I don't have the thing ready here. I will need. I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to do this live, but I have a dashboard that tells us in real time how far behind we are from tip. So let me see if I can. I recently overview processor. I recently changed something, and the dashboard obviously has been deleted. Now let me see if I can do this. In the meantime, if you want to ask something else, I can answer. Yeah, we are 1 minute and 40 seconds behind tip. So you can see how sometimes it slows down. It takes a little bit of time to catch up with tip, but then it goes really good. Then if there are lots of NFTs, it slow down a little bit and can't follow tip very quickly. Then it go. And then like you can see that we are basically 7 blocks behind. So it's like, yeah, 2 minutes is about 7 blocks behind. So in the space of 1 minute 42, we authenticate NFTs that have literally just been minted. But I don't know if this is clear. Like in 100 seconds, we have NFTs that have just been minted, that have been minted 100 seconds ago. We can tell you already whether or not they're original, authentic. So that's how. And with the Annoy back in the days, this was like 4 minutes. It was like 10 minutes. It was like 2 hours at times. It was like, oh my God. And then it was like, yeah, 1 minute 92. Sorry, this is 92 is the 92% of a minute. So it's like 1 minute 50 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, we went 3 minutes.
Is this data fed to JPEG Store and other marketplaces that you're working with in real time? So if someone lists an NFT longer than, let's say, 3 minutes, it will automatically be flagged, or is there some time delay?
Right. So if you mint something and then you list it on NFT on a JPEG Store, it needs to be older than 2 minutes. Otherwise, we don't have the data. Obviously, we will do our best effort, right? Whatever. If something gets listed on JPEG Store before we see it, we try to do the authentication on the fly. Obviously, if we haven't seen that thing yet, it means we have a little bit of backlog. So if it is minted so quickly and listed, there is a very, very little tiny chance that we may just say we couldn't authenticate this thing yet. So we say, I don't know. So,
no,
but like
2 minutes is still very good. I was asking if there's any other additional delay.
No. There is no additional delay. After 1 minute and 1 minute and a half, 1 minute and 30 seconds, once we know it's fake or is original, that's it. There is no other thing. Like it's done. There are no other thing, because a JPEG Store hits our API at the moment it is sold and not before. So if there are at least a couple of minutes between when the NFT was minted and listed, we have the data there, ready to go.
And in the case of Aegis, this would trigger a notification alert via email.
Straight away. Yeah. Now, obviously, we are sometimes it takes an hour, sometimes it takes 30 minutes, just because the system is still in pilot, but the idea is to have this thing done as quick as possible. So the other day, like for the one of the 7th of January, that thing was minted on the 6th. So this type of information, they flow a little bit slower, but I'm sure that if I check on the other ones, this was on the 6th of January, 5 days ago. Let's see, the minting time of this one. I'm sure that even in that case, 5th of January at 1:16 in the morning. And this was at 10 o'clock in the morning. Actually, we should also check if the time zone is the same as UTC. Yeah, this was like only 9 hours later. So we also batch this thing in hours, so it's like not all the notification are sent in real time. So it's it's pretty fast. It's pretty fast. And we haven't focused on the notification of ArgusNFT. For us at the moment, it's just it's just like to have it working, right? And then to make it super fast, we'll do later, and it's not gonna take long to do anyway. Now it will be interesting to see if we can find other customers, because the market is a little bit brutal, and it's very easy. It's a little bit hard to to land the new deals.
Giovanni, do you think that is there a way that those email notifications could be fed into somebody's like a project, an NFT project's Discord, like a Discord channel? Like
Absolutely,
I know that
100%. Yeah. We could make like a plugin. We could make a Discord plugin. And
because when I was at CNFT Con, that was something that some of the projects kind of expressed interest in, like, you know, something that would be cool to put on the roadmap, like if it wasn't too cost prohibitive, right? If it was reasonably priced, to like be able to just keep everybody notified that of any fakes that are being produced. And I think the best way would be just to like feed it right into the Discord channel.
Yeah, this won't be this is actually in a week we can get it done. I don't think it's that crazy.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool.
But it would be nice to I actually made a quick thread on Twitter with the ArgusNFT thing, and I said, is this about this very same case of the Pore and the Ore. I was like, is this parody or is this so community? You tell me.
Is this fair use or not?
Yeah. So.
Well, what do you think about this, Rares and Anna-Marie? They are copying your work.
I guess that's up to each individual artist. Probably, I mean, the law itself should be pretty clear, I think, on how much of a percentage. Of course, that's still interpretable by a lawyer or a judge, how much of a percentage there needs to be for it to be considered, or what cases there are for it to be considered fair use. It depends on a lot of factors, right? For us as maybe as artists, it would be aggravated a lot by the fact that if someone would be profiting monetarily by this kind of activity,
Yeah,
I should say. So if it's just for fun or kicks and giggles, then it's not such a big deal as if it's something that a different person is trying to sell off, especially as their own without giving any credit. At that point, it becomes more of a fake than a parody.
Yeah, because as we saw, the parody was so similar, and it was actually it looked like the same NFT in many ways. So,
and the only reason a lot of people would buy these, I mean, first of all, like 90% of the creativity has already been done for you. It's basically like you're having to trace it. And then the only reason people are going to buy it is because it's like this poor version of something else that's too expensive for them. But then if that's the case, then like, in my view, like some of the royalties should go to the people who created the original work that really, like, you know, 90% of the creativity in this work is kind of just a reflection of that, you know. So yeah, I don't know, this is the first of the collection that I saw.
obviously Argus immediately went like, what's this?
Where it would get interesting though is if for, you know, what is this one? For mob or whatever it's called, if they started creating a lot of value for a parallel community, and then they could argue that, look, we're doing all this stuff, we have this roadmap, all this stuff, and it's more than just this parody at that point, then can you say it's really is the value in the art? So it's like, it's so hard to determine these things. I think it's like a case-by-case basis, really, right? Like, because if they have this amazing, I don't know, they're doing all kinds of stuff to cultivate community, and people are loving that community more than the original community, then it's like, okay, is the value of this NFT now in the art? But yeah, it gets really
Yeah.
I'm kind of more inclined to side with the original artist, because at least in getting some of it, right? And but it's these things are tricky.
So I didn't see the prices for the parodies, but was the prices also a parody, or was it
No, it wasn't a parody.
as steep as the original?
If you go on the Pore, like you see that luckily only 1,008 has been spent on this thing. The floor is 7,500, but the prices are pretty high.
Yeah.
Let's see if there is a match for this one.
I don't know if anyone is expecting to actually sell legitimately at that price, but
very much.
would be interesting. It would be interesting to, if you could do some sort of collaboration with marketplaces, in the sense that, like you mentioned, Anthony, the Discord bot that notifies you of a mint, but also that notifies you of a sale of a fake asset, because that's, like I mentioned previously, could change the discussion a lot.
That can be done. That can be done. It's a little bit more complicated, a little bit more involved. Just scanning the blockchain for can be a little bit more involved, but still possible. Yeah. If there is interest, like at the moment, we don't even have a what's it called, catalyst to support us, because that's a cool feature, right? But is it gonna generate enough revenue to pay for it?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit complicated. So yeah.
Yeah, it would be great to know when these things are actually listed on a marketplace and when they're sold. But yeah, it's just a matter of is there a market for it, right, at this point?
And you mentioned you're planning to integrate Ethereum fully in the future. I imagine that will work both ways. So not only Cardano assets will be notified when a copy is minted on Ethereum, but also Ethereum assets will be notified. It will treat the blockchains as one big blockchain, right? From the point of view of Argus.
Yes, it will work both ways. I don't know if my internet connection is blipping a little bit, but let me know and I'll reply. But I'll replay. But yes, absolutely work both ways. And this one was a funny thing, right? Because we had to switch. I implemented the comparison on the block number. Obviously, when you go cross chain, you can't use the block number anymore. So I needed to use the timestamp associated to an NFT, to timestamp associated to a block, to create the properties. So that one was one of the funny things I had to think about. I never thought about that before. But yeah, we will work multi-chain. So we will have Ethereum. We will have straight after Ethereum is going to be Polygon, and obviously Cardano is going to be always fully integrated. So if a space buds get minted on Polygon or on Ethereum, that'll be marked as a fake, obviously. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, hopefully the project is well received at least from what we know, and what you've also said of OpenSea and their fake detection seems inferior to what you've built. And any partnerships in that direction maybe that you can share, or
No,
Yeah.
Go on, Anton, go on.
Well, that's kind of what we're exploring now, because we don't want to be, it's kind of a delicate thing. You don't want to come too early and tell them, hey, look, we're working on this thing, because then if you wait 2-3 months or 4 months, we're getting to the point now where it's like the actual a usable integrations close enough to where we can start having those conversations. I did, back in the bull market, when we first started working on this project, I made some initial inquiries with some of the marketplaces, and they were initially, some of them were interested. The market's changed quite a bit, so it's hard to say like how many of them would still be interested in, and how much they would be able to pay for a service like this. But I do think that there's more of a problem of fakes, obviously, on Ethereum than there are on Cardano. So I'm hopeful that there's still some interest forming some of those partnerships, but we're just getting to the point where, within a couple months, we should have a usable product. So now we should be kind of like cultivating those relationships a little bit. So that's where we're at.
Sweet. Well, thank you guys. We're at the top of the hour. I know I have to jump off, head over to Catalyst Town Hall. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the presentation, Anthony and Giovanni. And
thank you all for having us. It's much appreciated. It's great talking to you.
Awesome.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye bye.